Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Balaba Giri Baradari Gopi Jana Balaba Giri Baradari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaur Haribo. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada. Gaur Premanande Haribo. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Vinasa. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Chachante Satare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyatam Tato Jayamudevayat Nasta Praeshu Vabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamashloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistaki. All right, so we're reading Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you. So we had Narada Muni searching for the person who has received the greatest mercy from the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. And initially, he thought that this Brahmana was very, very saintly. The Brahmana was the head of the community. He'd come there, he'd come at the time of Magh, month of Magh, he'd come to Prayag, and he was performed very wonderful worship of the deity in the form of shalagram. And then he gave charity, munificent charity, he gave to every living entity. He satisfied everyone, even the insects and the birds, as well as the sannyasis and the brahmanas, and the householders and the brahmacharis. He gave them clothing, he gave them food, they were all satisfied. So Narada Muni saw all this worship and he thought, this Brahmana, he must be the greatest devotee, he's got the greatest mercy of the Lord. He's not only is he opulent, he's got wealth, but he's charitable, he's giving it. And he's doing it with such respect and such devotion. So the Brahmana did not accept Narada Muni's claim that he had received the greatest mercy from the Lord. And the Brahmana told him that, no, he said, my opulence is nothing. What I'm giving is nothing. He said, there's a kingdom in the south, And in the southern region, there's a king there, and he gives every day to everyone who comes in his kingdom. He's giving to everyone who comes in his kingdom. So you should go there. He's the man, he's the one. He's got the greatest blessings of the Lord. So after hearing all of that from the Brahmana, Narada Muni decided he would go there. And he went there to the kingdom in the south. So he came to the kingdom in the south, and he saw there was a lot of people, and everybody was in a festive mood. Everybody was happy and joyful. There was no sorrow there. There was no lamentation. And there were many pilgrims there. And they were all being taken care of so nicely. They were being given the prasadam of the Lord. And they were being taken care of. And the deity worship was very, very gorgeous. All beautiful clothing was there on the deities, and there were beautiful jewelry, and there were so many nice flowers decorating the altar. And there were many temples, not just one temple, there were many temples, and all the temples were like that. And all the people, he never saw, the Narada Muni never saw anyone unhappy there. So, just trying to find the place where we stopped. And we heard also how the king was so munificent, he gave away the kingdom. He gave away his own kingdom to the Brahmanas. He didn't claim proprietorship over anything. And all the citizens in the kingdom loved him because he was such a great devotee, and he was so kind to everyone, taking care of everyone. So everyone followed the example of the king. Seeing the king doing Sankirtan, not only the king did Sankirtan, but the king had everybody connected with him do Sankirtan. His wives, his children, all of his relatives, all of his ministers and secretaries, they were all doing Sankirtan. They had to, otherwise the king would be angry with them and he would chastise them. So Narada Muni had come there to the kingdom. So Narada Muni sees everything which had been told to him by the Brahmana was true. That all the people in the kingdom were very happy, they were all devotees, they were all doing Sankirtan, and there was so much festive atmosphere with lots of prasadam being distributed. There was no scarcity. It was even better than what the Brahmana had described him. So Narada Muni, he managed to find his way to the king, and he told the king, you have really got the mercy of the Lord. Your kingdom is so opulent. It has the best citizens. It's full with the most exalted, the highest character. It's very pious and religious. It's very prosperous. And there's so much devotion there as well. So in this way, Narada Muni, he understood the greatness of the king, because the kingdom reflected the glory of the king. When you have a pious king, then everything flourishes nicely. When the king is God conscious, then all the people share. And similarly, when the king is impious, then the people all suffer. So the position of the king is very, very important to get everybody in the right mood, that everybody working together. The king is not in an exploitive mood, but he thinks of himself as a servant. And he's a servant of all of his citizens. And the people in his kingdom, they can recognize that and appreciate that. Just like in our own society, the leaders are trained to think of themselves as servitor leaders. They're leaders, but at the same time, they're servants. Not that they're masters, but servants. Servants of Prabhupada, servants of the deities. In this, we're all servants. Nobody should think of themselves as the proprietor or the master. So the same way, in this kingdom, the king was like that. He was such a pious, noble king. So Narada Muni is glorifying him. He's telling the king, he says, Narada Muni began to place Vina, and he began to sing the glories of the king. He was singing about his wonderful qualities, and Narada would embrace the king again and again. He would embrace him, that you are the greatest devotee. You've received the mercy from the Lord. But the king was very humble, and he bowed his head down, and he was embarrassed by all of these words of praise coming from Narada Muni. So the king began to speak to Narada Muni, and he told Narada Muni, he says, who am I? He said, I'm just a human being, and I have a short life with little opulence and little to give others. So this was the humility of the king. Although Narada Muni thought he was very generous, very charitable, the king is thinking, well, I'm not giving very much. You know, you give people some prasadam, you give them a cup of khichdi or something, you know. It's not a lot, you know. How much is a cup of khichdi? You know, you may give thousands of cups of khichdi, but it's not a lot, really. It's not a lot of opulence. So the king was thinking like that. He said, I am I'm always attacked by fear, and I'm ruled by the three modes of nature. I would not even deserve Krishna's word. He said, I wouldn't even deserve Krishna's word that in the future he will give me mercy. He said, I'm not even worthy that in the future Krishna will give me mercy. What to speak of now? So this was the thinking of the king. He said, so why do you consider me an object of Krishna's compassion? He was giving, he said, I have a short life. That's one thing. We all have a short life. We don't live very long. Kali Yuga people. You know, if you live, 70, 80, that's a long life. That's good. And it's very rare anybody lives to be 100. It's very rare so. So we have a short life. That's the nature of this planet. And the king said also, I'm always fearful. I'm struggling with the three modes of nature. As a king, he's ruling the kingdom. There will be so many influences of passion and ignorance because you're surrounded by opulence. And where there is opulence, then there's always the danger to want to be the enjoyer. So the king was in this position. He's telling Narada Muni, he said, even if Krishna was to say, in the future, I give you mercy, he doesn't even do that for me. Krishna doesn't even promise me that in the future he will be merciful to me. So where is Krishna's compassion on me? And then he says, who are the real objects of the mercy? He said, the demigods. He said, the demigods, they are the real objects of Krishna's mercy. They have effulgent bodies and they're always worshipable by man. So the king is he's presenting the demigods, that you want to see the people who have received the greatest mercy from the Lord. You should see the demigods. And they are effulgent and they have a long life, of course, much longer than our life. And they have opulence much greater than we can even imagine. And so just think how much these demigods have received the mercy of Krishna. The king goes on, he said, the demigods, they're also sinless. They're fixed in goodness and they're free from desires and always happy. They act and travel however they like, and they give their blessings by granting what their devotees desire. So this is the king's understanding about the demigods, that, well, they have yoga cities, so they can travel through the universe to different planets, and they can give blessings. People worship them. Usually demigods are easy to please. Quickly, you get results from worshiping demigods. Unlike the worship of Krishna, the worship of the demigods quickly reveals results. And because they're in the higher planets, it's understood that they're more in the mode of goodness. Generally, the upper planets, the mode of goodness, the middle planets, the mode of passion, and the lower planets, the mode of ignorance. So you can, this way the king was understanding that the demigods, they're real recipients of the mercy of Krishna. because they have so many special facilities which people on this planet don't have. And he says, the food of the demigods is the nectar of immortality, which does away with such miseries as death, disease, and old age. Though not forced by hunger or thirst, the demigods enjoy great satisfaction in partaking the nectar by their own sweet will. So the king has some funny ideas about the demigods. It's not strictly like that, but he says here, he says, their food is the nectar of immortality. Because they do have a long life. Generally, the demigods going to live. Sometimes they'll live as much as the life of Brahma. And they're enjoying these kind of luxuries. They don't have to worry about old age, disease, and death because they're eating that food. They're not worried about hunger and thirst. It's not a problem for them. And they enjoy sacrifices. Their devotees will offer sacrifices to them, and they will enjoy the results of these sacrifices. And then the king says also, the demigods they're living in heaven. The residents of the demigods, the heavenly planets, Swargaloka, they're living there. But in order for any human to go there, to the higher planets, to the heavenly planets, we have to first of all do a lot of pious activities. So these people, the demigods who are living there on the higher planets, they must have already done a lot of pious activities in order to be living there. So the king recognizes that these demigods have very good, they're very fortunate. They've got the blessings of Krishna. That's what he's saying. He said they have the blessings of Krishna. And certainly people on this planet, we recognize the demigods as being superior. And that's why we see different temples to the different demigods. So it would appear that the demigods are really the best devotees. People in this material world, if they're very opulent, it may be due to the blessings of the demigods. Sometimes we see people enjoy some opulence. It's understood as the blessing of the demigods. There was one devotee in Srila Prabhupada's time. He was a very wonderful kirtanier, and he would also speak very nicely. And Prabhupada, he said, he has the full blessings of Brihaspati. So that's an example. So the demigods, they have that power that they can bless people. So then the king goes on, he said, the king of the demigods, the head of the demigods is Indra. And he has full power to reward and to punish. And he gives this world life by arranging for rain. Of course, rain is very important for the planet. Anad bhavati bhutani parjanyat anasambhavaha. Right? All living entities subsist on food grain, and in order to get grains, there has to be rain. And rain is born of sacrifice. And sacrifice is prescribed duty for mankind. So this is under the control of Indra. So we can recognize how powerful Indra is, that he is the king of heaven, and he is the controlling deity of rain. Without rain, then the planet will become like a desert. So rain is so important. So in this way, the king is glorifying the demigods, and he singled out the king of the demigods, Indra, that he is the head of all the demigods. There's 33 crore demigods there, and the head of all of them is Indra. So Indra is, of course, very powerful, that he can, as the king said, he can reward someone and he can also punish someone. And of course, we know there was a Lila with Lord Krishna. We'll hear about that in a minute, about what happened with Lord Krishna. So Indra rules the 3 planets, the 3 planetary systems, and he rules them for 71 Divya Yugas. 71 Divya Yugas, that means the duration of the life of one Manu. Just like one day of Brahma, how many Manus are there in one day of Brahma? 14, right? And one day of Brahma, Sahasra Yuga Paryantam Aharyat Brahmano Vidu. So 1,000 ages taken together is the duration of one day. There are 1,000 Divya Yugas in one day of Brahma, and there are 14 Manus in one day of Brahma. So when you divide 14 into 1,000, then you get 71. And that's how many Divya Yugas Indra rules for. You have to understand that Indra is a name for, it's a title for a position. It's not, it doesn't indicate a particular personality, but it's a post which is given to someone. Just like someone may be temple president. You know, it's a position, it's a post. In the same way, Indra also means king. And so there's an Indra in every universe, and there in one day of Brahma, you've also got a number of Indras coming, taking the position. So Indra has a long life, 71 Divya Yugas, and the king says, even if you do 100 horse sacrifices, Ashwamedha Yagyas, you may do 100 Ashwamedha Yagyas, but still you won't get the position of Indra. No ordinary king could ever come to the level of Indra, the king of heaven, even if they were to do 100 Ashwamedha Yagyas. And then you can understand something of the opulence of Indra. He has a very special horse, Uche Shrava. And he has also a special elephant, Airavata. So these this horse and this elephant, they were produced during the churning of the milk ocean, and they were given to Indra. So in this way, we can understand the opulence of Indra. And he said he has a cow which can be milked for any desire. In other words, he has a Kamadhenu cow. It can fulfill all your desires. So just understand how opulent he is. And then in his garden is the resplendent Nandana. So in the garden of Nandana, there are many beautiful flowers, very fragrant. So in this way, the king is describing the opulence of Indra, the king of heaven. He wants Narada Muni. He doesn't want Narada Muni thinking that this king is very great. He wants Narada Muni to understand how great Indra is in heaven. That if you want to see a real devotee, somebody who's really opulent, go there, go to heaven, and you will see the Indra there. You will see how he is opulent, how wonderful he is. And he also describes in the garden of Indra, there are wonderful trees and flowers like the Parijata. And the nature of these flowers is that they give you whatever one may wish. These trees, which have these different powers that they can fulfill our desires, they allow us to take whatever. These trees the trees can take whatever forms they like. They're not limited to just be in the form of trees. They can actually change forms. So this is something of the nature of the heavenly planets. Even a single flower from those trees can fully satisfy one's desires, whether for wonderful songs and music, splendid dance, bright clothing and ornaments, good food, or anything else. Just one flower from these trees can give you everything you desire. So the king says, I cannot even begin to describe the opulence of King Indra. And the personality of Godhead has taken the form of Vamanadev and become Indra's younger brother. Kashyapa and Aditi had performed a sacrifice to get a child who could help the demigods to get back their kingdom. And the result was Lord Vamanadev came as their son. So Lord Vamanadev was the second child of Kashyapa and Aditi. The first child being Indra. The oldest child was Indra. And Lord Vamanadev comes as the younger brother of Indra. So this is another opulence of Indra. Lord Vamanadev encourages Indra and he protects him from any dangers. And not only does he accept, he also offers worship to Lord Vamanadev. So after hearing all the praise about Indra, Narada Muni decides he has to go to heaven. He has to go to see Indra himself. So he went to the heavenly planets, and there he was able to see Lord Vishnu in all his brilliance, surrounded by all the demigods. When we say Lord Vishnu, actually, we mean, actually, it's Vamanadev who resides there in the heavenly planets. Lord Vamanadev appeared there to help them, as we said. So Lord Vamanadev is the expansion from Lord Vishnu. He's one of the avatars. And he's very well dressed. He's got so much sandalwood pulp and different ornaments and garlands. So many nice flowers around him. And he's on the back, he's sitting on the back of Garuda. And in this way, he's receiving worship. People are offering their worship to him. And Brihaspati and the other sages, they're all praising the Lord. And Aditi, who's his mother, she's pampering him. She's pampering him, just like the mother will pamper her child. So Lord Vamanadev, he reciprocates with them. They are pampering him and trying to please him, and he is also wanting to please them, which he does so with his nice comments. He will speak nicely and pleasing. So the different demigods are all there. Demigods like the Siddhas and the Gandharvas and the Apsaras and the Vishwadaras. They're all there. And some are dancing, some are singing. The Gandharvas are singing, the Apsaras are dancing, others are offering praise, and they're describing the glories of the dynasty and so on. All for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord, Vishnu, Lord Vamanadev. So, Lord Vamanadev, he tells Indra that Lord Vamanadev is there in the heavenly planets, and he tells Indra, you don't have to worry. If the demons come, I will protect you. There's no problem. You know, being a demigod, that's one of the problems. They also live in fear. Just like we said, the king on the earth, he said he had fear. As a king, you always have to be fearful of other kings, that they will come and want to do battle with you or to take your kingdom. They want to expand their kingdom. So kings always live in fear. So here also, even Indra has some fear. But Lord Vamanadev is there to protect him. Lord Vamanadev is there to give help and shelter. So the Lord assures Indra, you don't have to worry. Don't be afraid of the demons. So Indra is happy to hear that he doesn't have to worry. And he goes on to worship the Lord as he had been doing, singing the glories of the Lord. And in the past, the Lord had helped Indra. The Lord had helped also the Brahmanas. And the Lord had helped Indra when Indra is in danger, that his kingdom is the demigods, their heavenly planets is going to be conquered. It's the Lord who came as Vamana Dev to cheat the demons and to get back the heavenly planets for them. So that is the special mercy of Lord Vamanadev, that he did all that. He came and he cheated the demons to get back the heavenly planets just for the demigods. So Indra is appreciating that he has this special mercy from the Lord. And of course, Indra's body is all covered with eyes. It's 1,000 eyes, not just 2 eyes or 4 eyes, but he has 1,000 eyes. His whole body is covered with eyes. And when he feels ecstasy, he will shed tears, and the tears will not just come from the 2 eyes. The tears will come from all 1,000 eyes. So this is Indra in his ecstasy. When he thinks about how the Lord was so kind to him, that he helped him to get back the heavenly planets, that he will shed ecstasy. He will feel that ecstasy. So the devotees, they appreciate this, the wonderful dealings between Indra and the Lord, that the Lord is helping Indra, because Indra is doing service. All the demigods are all doing service on behalf of the Lord. And Indra is the supreme, he's the king of heaven. So his service is very important. So certainly the Lord helps Indra. And when he sees that Indra is getting in trouble, then he makes arrangements to help Indra, to correct him and to save him. So in the palace, Indra is sitting on his throne, and he's got Lord Vamanadev on a throne beside him. So the 2 of them sit there. They're the 2 eldest sons of Aditi, and all the people come and they see him. So when Lord Vishnu comes, he will stay for some time, and then he'll go. And when he leaves, then out of respect, Indra will follow him for some distance, just to show respect. Although Lord Vamanadev is the younger brother of Indra, still Indra will show respect for Lord Vamanadev, knowing Lord Vamanadev to be an avatar of the Supreme Lord. At the same time, Lord Vamanadev will respect Indra, because he thinks Indra is my older brother, right? The big brother. So the big brother he's got the power. You know, he's the number 1. He's got the power, and the younger brothers will always be obedient to the oldest brother. The oldest brother has usually got the final say in matters. So Lord Vamanadev, he's number 2. So Lord Vamanadev, he respects Indra. He has to show the proper regard for Indra. So when Narada saw Indra in all of his opulence, Narada approaches Indra and he wants to glorify Indra. And he says, you have surely received the Lord's mercy. Different demigods like Surya and Chandra and Yama. What to speak of other rulers in places which we didn't go yet? They all obey your orders. Narada Muni is telling Indra, all of these demigods, they do what you tell them. They're obedient to you because you're the king. In this way, Narada Muni wants to glorify Indra. Say, oh, you're so powerful. You can tell the demigods what to do. He said, Narada Muni says, sages like me, and as well as the Vedas themselves, the Vedic literature, they praise you as the Lord of heaven. Because you bestow the boon, you can give the boon of religiousness. At least you know what is real religion and what is irreligion. So you are qualified to be the king of heaven. And you administer these principles, the religious principles. You're glorified in the Vedas. So you must be a great soul. You've received blessings from the Lord. And then Narada Muni recognizes that Lord Narayan has become your younger brother. You are the older brother of Lord Narayan. You were both born from the womb of Mother Aditi. So in this way, even the Lord Vamanadev gives respect to you because you're his older brother. So you're in that position, you're being glorified by the Supreme Lord. So hearing all of this, hearing all this glorification, the sages, they declared the good fortune of Indra. And Narada Muni is chanting the glories of Indra. And he played his Vina and he danced. And he's so happy to hear about Indra, that he's such a great devotee. He wants to praise him and glorify him. So Indra welcomes Narada Muni. But then he says, he says to Narada Muni, he says, my in the art of the Gandharvas, but why are you making fun of me? You know, Indra's thinking this is just some joke which Narada Muni is playing on him. Then sometimes the Gandharvas, they play tricks on people, you see. So he's thinking, Narada Muni, you know, Narada Muni in a previous life, he had been a Gandharva. And then he got cursed to become the son of a maidservant. And then he became Narada Muni. So Indra's saying, yeah, I know you're expert in the tricks of the Gandharvas, but please don't make fun of me. You're ridiculing me, calling me these things, giving me praise which I'm not worthy of. It's like a joke, you see, to say that you are the real recipient of Krishna's mercy. And you know, come on, you're joking, you know. And so Indra's like that. Indra says, have you forgotten about things like what it means to rule heaven? He said, don't you know how many times we demigods have had to flee heaven in fear of the demons? You may say, I'm very opulent and very powerful and I have the mercy of the Lord, but so many times our heavenly planets have been attacked by the demons and we have to go and hide. We have to run away and hide ourselves out of fear of the demons. So what kind of opulence is that? How can you say I've got the mercy of the Lord? And then Indra talks about Bali Maharaj. How Bali Maharaj, he said one time Bali, he took over as Indra. Bali actually took Indra's position and he became Indra. And he acquired all the power and all the different demigods like the sun god and the moon god. Those positions were given to demons by Bali. Bali put his men in as the sun god and the moon god. He didn't let the demigods keep their positions. So Indra is telling all of this to Narada Muni. He said, I want you to know how many difficulties, how much trouble I've had being the king of heaven. It's so different. You know, we only think the good side. So much opulence, and so the women are all there dancing and giving him pleasure, and everybody's waiting on him. But there were so many other things, so many responsibilities. Because anything goes wrong, he has to take the blame. If there's some corruption, or if somebody goes against the religious principles, then Indra can be held responsible. Indra says, our father and mother, namely Kashyapa and Aditi, they performed austerities for a long time just to get Lord Vamanadev to appear, just to have the Lord as their child. They had to satisfy him. And the Lord came with them. He appeared as their son. But the Lord who came, Lord Vamanadev, he is just a mere partial expansion of the Supreme Lord. right? He's not the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's just an expansion of the Supreme. Partial expansion of Lord Narayan. Actually, the avatars which come, they all come from Kshirodakashayi Vishnu. And Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, he is the expansion from the Chaturvyuha, Vasudev, Shankarshan, Aniruddha, and Prajumna. So he's come from there to take birth. So Lord Vamanadev is just a partial expansion, not the Supreme Lord himself. You're glorifying me that I'm such a great demigod, but look, this Lord Vamanadev, he's not really the original Supreme Swayam Bhagavan, personality of Godhead. He is just an expansion from Narayan. So this is the humility of Indra, that he's putting down his own position. And then Indra said, the Lord, he wouldn't kill any of the demons. He told me I had to do it myself. Because sometimes some of the demons who had to be killed, some of them were Brahmanas. So if you kill the Brahmana, then you have to do great tapasya. So in this way, Lord Indra is going on and he is refuting, he's defeating this, these words of Narada Muni. Narada Muni was saying that Indra is a great devotee. He's got the full blessings of the Lord. But Indra said, no, come on, look, just look at me. Look at all the problems I have, that Bali comes and he can defeat us and he can take over the heavenly planets and he can put his own men in as demigods as well. You're telling me I'm so great? No. I had to get the Lord had to come as Vamanadev to trick Bali Maharaj, to get him to give back the kingdom. The Lord Vamanadev had to cheat him and tell him 3 steps of land. Just give me 3 steps of land. It was a trick, because then Lord Vamanadev assumed his full form, and in 2 steps he covered the whole universe. We had the program in New York for Rathi Yatra in Prabhupada's time. They wanted to do the Rathi Yatra on 5th Avenue, very important street in New York, the 5th Avenue. You know, if there's any big celebration, the President of America, he will drive his car down the 5th Avenue. And there's all skyscraper buildings, all the whole length of the route, you know. So Prabhupada said we should do Rath Yatra down the 5th Avenue. But they had to get permission to do that. Naturally, you're doing something like a big procession in New York. You have to get permission from the authorities. So it was difficult because at that time, there was already a ban on processions. They didn't want any more processions because they'd had so many processions, and it was just so much trouble all the time to have big processions go down the road, the 5th Avenue and so on. Anyway, the devotee went to see the authorities, and you know, he was explaining to them, we want to do this Rath Yatra. And they said, oh, what is this? What is this Rath Yatra? He said, oh, 3 hand pull carts. 3 hand-pulled carts. You see? So they said, oh, 3 hand-pulled carts. Okay, no problem. Because they thought carts is just some small thing, you know, like a child has a cart, you know, and pulled by hand. So it's not very big. Oh, okay, no problem. All right, you know. So the Prabhupada was very happy when he heard they had permission to do the Rath Yatra on the 5th Avenue. And he asked the devotees, how did you get permission? And they told Prabhupada, I told him, 3 hand-pulled carts. And Prabhupada laughed. He said, yes. He said, this is in our tradition. And he gave the example about Lord Vamanadev. 3 steps of land. A little Brahmana boy coming. No, no, I don't want anything else. Just give me 3 steps of land. It's enough. I'll be satisfied. And so, of course, Lord Vamanadev then took the whole universe with 2 steps. So this was the mercy. This is a compassionate nature of Lord Vamanadev, that he did all this. He came and tricked Bali Maharaj to get back the heavenly planets for him. So Indra said, we residents of heaven, we're tainted with faults. We're often jealous and we compete with each other for position. And for such acts as killing brahmanas, we're entangled, we suffer the reactions of sin. And we live in constant fear of losing our position. So what happiness do we really have? And we see how true this is. You know, people have some opulence, they always live in fear of losing it. Somebody's going to take it away from me, right? People have money, they're always worried how to make the money more and who's stealing their money, who's cheating them, like that. So Indra describes that problem in the heavenly planets among the demigods. There's jealousy. One demigod is more powerful than another. This constant competition is there. People in the material world, everywhere, even in the heavenly planets. What to speak of this planet, even in the heavenly planets, this attitude is there. Competition, rivalry. Oh, why he got that job? I should have got that job. Why he's got so much money? Why he's got the big salary? I should have got that salary. We become jealous about all of these little things. And then Indra also talks, he said, sometimes also we kill brahmanas, and Indra had been guilty of that. It happened that the demigods were competing with the demons, and at one point the demigods had lost their guru, Brihaspati. They'd offended Brihaspati, so he'd gone away and left them. And so when they didn't have their guru anymore, then the demigods were defeated by the demons. They couldn't defeat the demons because the demons had faithfully served their guru, Sukracharya. So they become very powerful. And the demigods had offended their guru, Brihaspati, and he'd gone away and left them. So when the demons came, they conquered the demigods. So then Lord Indra thought how to get back their power. And he went to Lord Brahma, and Lord Brahma told him, because you've offended your guru. So he said, you have to get another guru. So he suggested to them, there was this one guru, his name was Vishwarup. Okay, so Vishwarup. He said, you can ask Vishwarup that he could be a good, he's very learned. The only problem is that he has some partiality to both sides. Mother is from the demigods, father is from the side of the demigods, mother is from the demon side. And so you have to be a little careful of that. But anyway, he's very qualified and he'll be a good priest and he can help you. And so Vishwarup became the guru for the demigods. But then Indra observed that when he was doing yagya, he was offering oblations for the demigods, and then he would also offer for the demons. And so Indra thought, oh no, this is terrible. He's helping the demons as well as us. So Indra killed him and he cut off his 3 heads. So he was a Brahmana. And because Indra did that, he had to suffer the reactions for killing a Brahmana. And after Indra killed Vishwarup, then the father of Vishwarup, who was Twashta, he did a yagya to get a son who would be the enemy of Indra. He actually wanted a son who would kill Indra, but he chanted the mantra wrong. Instead of getting a son who would kill Indra, he just got a son who was the enemy of Indra. And that was Vritasura. So then this Vritasura comes on the battlefield and Indra is worried, how are we ever going to defeat this demon? And Vritasura has got such a huge body. So Indra goes and he prays to Lord Narayan. And the Lord comes and he asks Lord Narayan, please help us to kill this demon. And Lord Narayan said, I'm not going to kill him. You kill him yourself. It's like you got some dirty work to do. You want me to do your dirty work? Do it yourself. But the Lord did tell him how he could kill the demon. He said, you want to kill this demon? You have to get a weapon, and you can ask Dadichi to give the bones from his body. And with the bones from his body, you can make a thunderbolt weapon, which will kill Indra. Which will kill, Vritasura, rather. So Indra had to go to Dadichi, and he had to beg Dadichi, please, could you give the bones from your body? So that he had to go begging, Indra had to go begging, and Dadichi somehow, he says, well, you know, the body's the thing we're most attached to. You want me to give the bones from my body? Actually, Dadichi was quite willing to give the bones, but he wanted Indra to speak some philosophy. So Indra said, you know, it's very hard sometimes to ask for charity. And it's also sometimes it's very difficult to give charity. So Indra thought, very good, thought very nice. So Dadichi thought very nice. He thought, this is good. Okay, I'll give you the bones. And Dadichi gave up his body, and Indra got the bones and made the Vajra weapon, the thunderbolt weapon. And he went and he had to fight Vritasura. But when he's fighting Vritasura, Vritasura had been a devotee, and he was a devotee from his previous life. And he had been cursed to become a demon. So when he's fighting Vritasura, Vritasura was speaking about devotion. And Vritasura was eager to be killed. And he's telling Indra, come on, kill me. Come on, kill me. I know when you kill me, then I will go back. I will be able to serve my master. I will be able to go to serve the Supreme Lord. I'll get liberated. So Indra was hearing Vritasura speak. He could understand this demon is a devotee. And he was also the son of a Brahmana. So he was also like a Brahmana. But anyway, Indra cut off one arm of Vritasura, and then he cut off another arm of Vritasura, and then Vritasura has no arms, but he made his form huge, and he swallowed Indra. But Indra had been chanting the Narayana Kavacha mantra, and because he'd been chanting Narayana Kavacha mantra, no harm could come to him, even though he entered into the body of Vritasura. So he entered into the body of Vritasura, and he had his weapon, and he cut his way with his weapon. He cut out his way out of the intestines of Vritasura, and then he cut off the head of Vritasura, and it took 1 year to cut off the head of Vritasura. But after he'd done this to Vritasura, then he got the reactions for killing a Brahmana. So Indra's explaining all the problems which he has being the king of heaven. You know, you think the king of heaven is sinless? No, I got sinful reactions. I had to suffer. He had to go and hide in the stem of a lotus flower for a long time just to get rid of his sinful reactions for killing a Brahmana. And so in this way, he's telling Narada Muni, you know, you think I'm a great devotee? No, you know, you don't know. You think the Lord is merciful to me? No, he's not merciful to me. He doesn't give me his mercy. Look at all the things I've done, all the problems I've had. If he was merciful to me, these things would never have happened. No. So in this way, Indra is not accepting Narada Muni's praise that he's got the greatest mercy from the Lord. So we'll hear more how Indra responds. Of course, Indra is also going to tell about how the Lord stopped his Indra Yagya. The people of Vrindavan were doing every year Indra Yagya, and it was the Lord himself who told them not to do that. Don't worship Indra, and instead use it to worship the Govardhan hill and the cows. So where is the Lord kind to me? He stopped my yagya. So, of course, this was to curb the pride of Indra. We had demigods. Being a great demigod, you become proud, and pride leads to the fall down. So like this, Indra is describing his actual situation. That while he is in a big position of authority, and he is to be respected as a devotee, and he does do some service on behalf of the Lord, but he has problems. He has his problems. And Brahma, his problems are also there. We'll hear about Brahma's problems in the future. All right, so we will stop here today. Is there any question? Yes, Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I heard that we're getting karma only in the human body. But whereas Indra is in heavenly abode and he is killing a Brahmana. So how he is getting the sinful reactions when
Yes.
he is in demigod body?
Well, you could say our body is the result of our karma, but the demigods also get karma if they do something sinful. If they do something wrong, they get karma, as you can see. Yeah. Karmic reaction. They do get karma. Just like when they offended their guru left them. Right? That's a karmic reaction. He went away from them and left them. And then they got defeated by the demons. And so you see also Indra killed a Brahmana. He gets reactions for that. He gets punished. So sometimes the demigods do get punished. If they don't do things properly, they do get punished. They get reactions for their activities.
So, Maharaj, you mentioned Indra, he will be having fear, losing the kingdom. Even in our life, being Rastas, we also have so many fears. I mean, in the sense of finance or whatever. So, and especially when we are chanting, our mind is not focused on hearing, and these thoughts will always keep coming and disturb us. So, how we have to avoid these things because constantly we are fighting in outside world. So, how to focus on chanting and
Yes, fear. That is the nature of materialistic life. Eating, sleeping, mating, and fearing. So fearing is there in all the different species of life. How to overcome fear? We have to transcend the bodily conception of life. We have to simply overcome that conception that I am the body. The fear is due to identification with the body. And we have to constantly hear and chant. And the more we hear and chant, then we can remove that conception of being the body. And there'll be no more fear. When we're just like Sukadeva Goswami spoke Srimad Bhagavatam to Maharaj Parikshit. So Maharaj Parikshit had 7 days to live, but after he'd heard Srimad Bhagavatam from Sukadeva Goswami, he didn't have any fear. Although he knew his death was coming soon, there was no fear because he was completely fixed in transcendental knowledge that he's not the body. Actually, there's no reason to fear because the soul never dies. The body dies, but the soul never dies. So why are we afraid? What are we afraid of? It's simply the attachment to the body. And when we give up that attachment to the body, then there's no fear. But because we're attached to the body and the things in relation to the body, we have fear. But when we become fixed in transcendental knowledge, then you can transcend all that fear.
Krishna Maharaj, I have last question. You mentioned that Narada Muni, he was a Gandharva, and then he becomes son of a maid servant, and then Narada Muni. So I also heard Narada Muni is a Nitya Siddha, so I'm not able to connect these two.
His Narada Muni's what?
Nitya Siddha devotee. So he's
Nitya Siddha?
Nitya Siddha devotee. So how then he's coming through Gandharva body and son of a maid servant?
Well, he became Nitya Siddha as the son of Brahma. You know, we can also become Nitya Siddha. It's not that you have to always be Nitya Siddha. Nitya Bada souls can also become Nitya Siddha. Nitya in the sense that a very long time. For a very long time, we've been conditioned to the material world. But when we describe ourselves as Nitya Bada, it's not that we have to remain Nitya Bada. We are eternally conditioned in the sense that we've been in the material world a very long time. But we don't have to remain Nitya Bada. We can become Nitya Siddha. And the process is, there are different ways in which we can become Nitya Siddha. For example, there is Kripa Siddha, and there is also Sadhana Siddha. So Kripa Siddha is by special mercy. Special mercy is not very common. Just like honorary degree. Rabindranath Tagore was given an honorary degree by Oxford University in England. He didn't go to the university to study, but they honored him. They called him and gave him the degree. So there is Kripa Siddha. They asked Prabhupada, what does it mean, Kripa Siddha? Prabhupada said, just like somebody comes and they give you here 10 crores. Does it happen very often? No, it doesn't happen very often, right? That is Kripa Siddha. It's very uncommon, but it's possible. But Sadhana Siddha, you can become perfect by sadhana. So by Sadhana Siddha, along with some Kripa Siddha, we can also become Nitya Siddha. We can become free from the material energy.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. Dandavad Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Like, okay, when you said like we should detach from the body, but sometimes I feel like body is a strong medium for the soul to do the good things to the universe. The way you are speaking, we need a body to to support the universe. So how important or how the equivalent to soul, body is also, I feel like that is without bodies it is not possible for soul to do something good. So how should we make a balance in between these two, soul and body?
Make a balance between the soul and the body.
How much importance we should give, like that comes up.
Well, of course, both are important. We have to maintain the body. We cannot neglect the body. We're not on that level that we can just neglect the body. Some souls are very, very elevated and their bodies don't require much attention. Just like Srila Prabhupada told us, he said when he was a young man, he gave up mating and defending. And then in his old age, he said, I have stopped eating and sleeping. So the Goswamis, they also came to that level that they could give up these activities of eating and sleeping and mating and defending. And at the same time, live in the body. How did they live and how did they maintain their bodies? It's inconceivable to us, but somehow they could take some very smooth. Sometimes Raghunath Goswami would eat a little buttermilk or something. And so somehow or other, they were living in their bodies. They were not taking much care of the body. But we're not on that level, and we're not required to do that. Rather, we should have a balanced program to keep the body in a healthy condition so that we can use it in the service of Lord Krishna. So we have we have the gross physical body, we have a subtle body in the form of the mind, and we have also a spiritual body. So we have to take care of all three aspects. And the most important part is the soul. We have to take care of our soul, our spiritual body. And to do that, we have to chant the holy name of the Lord. and we have to hear the glories of the Lord. That will keep our spiritual body in good health. The mental body can be kept in good health by remembering the Lord. Just like when we chant the holy name, we can also remember the Lord. And the physical body, we keep it in good health by using it for the service of the Lord, working. You know, we have to be, nobody can be idle. Everyone has to work for different ways. We have to work. We have to maintain a living. Sometimes we need some income to maintain livelihood. So we have to take jobs and work. But that is also in the service of the Lord. It's not separate. So there's a balanced program of work and also recreation. Here, this is our recreation. You see, coming here to serve Krishna, we chant and dance, and we take nice foodstuffs offered to the Lord. This is our recreation. And we also work. We go out for missionary activities. Sometimes we go out, distribute literature. Sometimes we go out and do Harinam Sankirtan and organize festivals like Rath Yatra, Janmastami, these things. There's a lot of work involved. So this way we keep ourselves healthy. Hare Krishna. You have a question in chat here?
Yes,
Ah.
Fear is there in demigods also. We are just normal human beings. How to overcome our fear? This was answer. How to overcome our fear?
How to overcome fear? Oh yeah, well, yeah, we answered that, right? Okay. Same question. Any other question there?
No more.
No. Okay, we'll stop here today. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Oh yeah.
Just now one question.
Yeah.
At the beginning, you mentioned that becoming Idra is not so easy because how to perform 100 Ashwamedha Yajna. But we heard from scriptures that taking one step in Jagannath Puri is equal to doing 100 Ashwamedha Yajnas. So from this, we can say that it's easy to become Indra irrespective of whether one is pious or impious. Is it right, Maharaj?
Puri is equal to 100 Ashwamedha Yagyas, but if you want to become a demigod, yeah, if you have that desire to go and become a demigod, but devotees, we don't desire that, right? And we're hearing how dangerous it is to become an Indra, and so many problems to become an Indra. You have to deal with all of these different affairs. Not an easy job. Devotee doesn't want to become Indra. We want to become cowherd boys. Right? Better to be a cowherd boy in the spiritual world than an Indra. So devotees are not interested to go to heavenly planets and become a demigod. That's not why we take steps in Jagannath Puri. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We'll be continuing with the same series in the evening. Maharaj will be sharing about the further what does Indra says and how does he respond to Narada Muni. We'll hear the same this one in the evening session. at 7:15. I request all the devotees to kindly come and take association of Maharaj and take advantage of his association. Let us express our gratitude by chanting Hare Krishna mantra once. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Prasadam will be arranged in the courtyard, in the Prasadam hall. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I just end the session now. There just seems to be some particular video problem, so we're not able to get it clearly from the temple hall. So please join the evening class 7:15. Hare Krishna.